I'm delighted to have you as part of this community. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, YouTube friends. Join us as we unravel the mysteries surrounding Tadej Pogačar. Tadej Pogačar, born 21 September 1998, is a Slovenian professional cyclist who currently rides for UCI WorldTeam. His victories include 3 Tours de France 2020, 2021 and 2024, the 2024 Giro di Lombardia, and 7 one-day monuments Tour of Flanders once, Bastogne twice and Giro di Lombardia 4 times, as well as the World Championship road race. Comfortable in time trialing, one-day classic riding and Grand Tour climbing, he has been compared to legendary all-round cyclists such as Eddy Merckx and Hinault as one of the sport's greatest. In 2024 he became only the 3rd male cyclist, after Eddy Merckx in 1974 and Stephen Roche in 1987, to achieve the Triple Crown of cycling, winning the Giro, the Tour, and the World Championships in the same year. He is the only rider in history who took the Triple Crown and 2 different monuments Bastogne and Giro di Lombardia in the same year. Born in Hinault, Slovenia, Pogačar was a successful junior rider, winning the 2018 Tour de Slovenia. Aged 20 in 2019, he became the youngest cyclist to win a UCI World Tour race at the Tour of California, and won 3 stages of the Vuelta a España en route to an overall 3rd place finish and the Young Rider title. In both his 2020 debut at the Tour de France and the following year, he won 3 stages and the race overall, as well as the mountains and young rider classifications, becoming the only rider to win these 3 classifications simultaneously. 2021 also saw Pogačar's first successes in the major monument one-day races, at the Giro di Lombardia and Bastogne. Subsequent seasons saw further wins in these, with the Tour of Flanders also added to his palmares in 2023. Meanwhile, in the Grand Tours, Pogačar had consecutive second-place finishes in the Tour de France to Jonas Vingegaard, with whom his rivalry is considered to be one of the greatest of all time. This run ended in 2024 when he completed the first Giro di Lombardia and Tour de France double since 1998, winning 12 stages across both races. Pogačar has been praised for his attacking riding style, an approach which Pogačar himself has jokingly referred to as a stupid instinct during their time when many others have ridden more conservatively to manage energy levels. His aim to be competitive across both the monuments and Grand Tours has been labelled as a return to classic bike racing of the Ursers, and this success across multiple fronts has led to him being the UCI road racing world known for a record total number of weeks and record number of consecutive weeks. In this part of the video, we'll be diving deep into early career and unraveling its profound impact. Pogačar followed his older brother Tylen in joining the Road Ljubljana club at the age of 9. In 2011 he came to the attention of Road World Championship medalist Ondrej Hauptmann, who is, as of 2021, his coach and head coach and selector for the Slovenian national cycling team. Hauptmann watched Pogačar pursuing a group of much older teenagers from 100 meters behind. Thinking that Pogačar was struggling to keep up with the older riders, he told the race organizers that they should provide some assistance to Pogačar. The organizers explained that the younger rider was in fact about to lap the group he was chasing. Hauptmann subsequently managed Pogačar as an under-23 rider with the team, before joining UAE Team Emirates as a director sportif in May 2019, after Pogačar joined the team. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of UAE Team Emirates present and discovering its transformative power. UAE Team Emirates present. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine 2019 youngest UCI World Tour winner and its connections to our previous discussions. Pogačar joined from the 2019 season, a deal that was made ahead of the 2018 Tour de Slovenia, which he won. He made his debut for the team at the Tour Down Under, where he finished 13th overall. He went on to win the Volta Algarve, taking the race lead after winning the second stage. He also placed 6th at the Tour of the Basque Country. In May 2019, he won the Tour of California, becoming the youngest rider to win a UCI World Tour stage race. He took the race lead after winning the Queen's Stage to Mount Baldy on stage 6. In June, Pogačar won the Slovenian National Time Trial Championship after beating mate Mohori by 29 seconds. In August, Pogačar was named in the team's start list for the Vuelta a España, his debut in a Grand Tour. In the first week, he performed strongly, placing himself in the top 10 on GC General Classification before winning his first Grand Tour stage on the rain-soaked stage to Kortels Zenkamp. The win allowed him to move inside the top 5 on GC. On stage 13, which finished on the steep climb of Los Macucos, he was the only rider to stay with the race leader and his compatriot, Primo Roglič. Pogačar ended up winning his second stage to move up to third overall, where he stayed heading into the second rest day. After losing time on stage 18, he dropped down to 5th on GC. On the penultimate stage, with one last chance to move up the standings, Pogačar launched an attack, going on an almost 40 kilometers solo breakaway. He eventually took his third stage win, winning by more than a minute and a half over the rest of the contenders. The win allowed him to finish the Vuelta in third overall, the final podium position, and giving him the victory in the young rider classification. As we progress through this video, let's now turn our gaze towards 2020 first Tour win. Before the season started, Pogačar announced that he was making his debut at the Tour de France, where he planned on riding in support of Fabio Aru. He made his season debut at the Volta Locomonet at Valenciennes, where he won 2 stages on his way to winning the race. At the Catalan UAE Tour, he won the 5th stage, which finished atop the Jebel Hafeet, and finishing second to Adam Yates on GC. In March, cycling events were among those postponed by the COVID-19 pandemic. When the season resumed, he took 4th overall in the Criterium du Dauphiné. In the Slovenian National Championships, he finished second to Primo Roglič in the road race before defeating him in the time trial, defending his title. In the Tour de France, Pogačar quickly demonstrated that he was in better form than Aru, his team's initial leader, after finishing second to Roglič on stage 4, which finished atop the climb of Orceres Merlet. He lost almost a minute and a half on stage 7, which was affected by crosswinds. The next day, he began to claw back time when he attacked on the Col de Puysourde, gaining back 38 seconds over the rest of the contenders. After Aru withdrew on stage 9, Pogačar won the stage to Liège, his first Tour stage win, by outsprinting Egan Bernal and Roglič, who took the Maillot Jaune, as well as Mark Hirschi, who had been on an 80 km solo breakaway. On stage 13, which finished atop the steep climb of Pimeri, he was the only rider to stay with Roglič and moving up to second overall at 44 seconds down. He also took the lead in the young rider classification in the process. 2 days later, he outsprinted Roglič at the top of the Col du Grand Colombier to take his second stage of the race. At the beginning of the third week, Pogačar sat in second overall at 40 seconds behind Roglič. On stage 17, the Queen's Stage, which finished atop the Col de la Loze, he struggled to follow Roglič, eventually losing 17 seconds. Ahead of the penultimate stage, a 36.2 km time trial finishing at La Planche de Belles Filles, Pogačar faced a 57-second deficit to Roglič. At the first time check, he had already managed to claw back 13 seconds from his compatriot. He headed into the final climb with a lead of 36 seconds and a deficit of 21 seconds on the virtual GC. Pogačar gradually gained time on the climb before going into the virtual Maillot Jaune with 4 left. He eventually took the stage victory, his third of the race, almost a minute and a half ahead of Tom Dumoulin, while Roglič finished almost 2 minutes down. The result meant he took the Maillot Jaune with a lead of 59 seconds on Roglič and the lead in the mountain classification. The next day, he finished safely in the peloton to officially win the Tour, becoming the first Slovenian winner of the race. At the age of 21, he also became the second youngest winner of the Tour, just behind Henry Cornet, who won the Tour in 1904 at the age of 19. In addition to winning the Tour, he also won the Young Rider classification as well as the Mountains classification. The previous rider to win 3 jerseys was Eddy Merckx in 1972. He became the 12th rider to win the Tour de France on his first attempt, and the first since 1983. After the Tour, Pogačar competed in the men's road race at the World Championships, where he supported Roglic, who eventually finished in 6th place. 3 days later, he competed at Liège, where he finished in 9th place. He ended his season at Bastogne, where he originally finished in 4th place before moving up to 3rd following Julian Alaphilippe's relegation. As we venture forward, let's take a closer look at 2021's second Tour win and monument success and its impact on our understanding. Pogačar started the 2021 season by winning the UAE Tour, Tirreno Adriatico, Liège-Bastogne, his first win in a monument, and the Tour of Slovenia. Pogačar began the 2021 Tour de France as one of the pre-race favourites along with Primo Roglic, Geraint Thomas and Richard Carapaz. On stage 1 he finished with the group of favourites 8 seconds behind stage winner Julian Alaphilippe and took the lead in the white jersey classification. Pogačar won the 5th stage, the race's first time trial, finishing 18 seconds ahead of Stephen King and taking significant time out of his GC rivals. On stage 8 he launched an attack from more than 6 minutes behind the breakaway, taking over the yellow jersey with a lead of over 4.5 minutes on those considered to be contenders for the overall victory. Pogačar extended his GC lead on the 9th stage to Tignes, responding to an attack by Carapaz on the final climb from the finish and dropping his rivals in the main group, emerging with an overall lead of over 2 minutes over second-placed Pogačar wearing the race leader's yellow jersey during stage 14 of the 2021 Tour de France following stage 11, which included a double ascent of Mont Ventoux. The closest rivals to Pogačar included Rigoberto, Jonas Vingegaard and Carapaz, but all them remained more than 5 minutes behind. Pogačar had temporarily lost some time to Vingegaard on the final ascent of Ventoux before catching him on the descent to the finish alongside Carapaz and Uran. Pogačar extended his lead further with wins on stages 17 to the Col de Portet and 18 in Les Ardennes, by which point he had a lead of 5:45 over Vingegaard and an unassailable lead in the polka dot jersey classification. On the penultimate 20th stage, a time trial between Libourne and Saint-Emilion, Pogačar conceded half a minute to Vingegaard but retained a lead of over 5 minutes going into the final stage to Champs-Élysées in Paris. Pogačar's win made him the youngest cyclist to win consecutive tours. This was also the second year in a row that he won 3 distinctive jerseys. Both during and at the end of the tour there were accusations of doping on social media and in the press due to the dominance Pogačar displayed. When asked about it he answered, "For sure I'm not angry about it. They are uncomfortable questions because the history was really bad. I totally understand why there are all of these questions." Jonathan Vaughters, the director sportif of one of the teams who had a GC rider competing against Pogačar team, offered an explanation for how Pogačar was able to be so successful on stage 8. He explained that the twin factors of uncharacteristic weather conditions and chaotic, uncontrolled racing dynamics played a part. In addition to this, in previous years there was usually a dominant team who would contain the attacks of any riders considered a threat for victory, whether it was Team Ineos, Team Jumbo-Visma or Movistar team. During the 2021 Tour, teams Ineos and Jumbo had both suffered from the first week crashes and Movistar was not as strong as they had been in years past. As such, by the time Pogačar launched his attack late in the stage, there were no teams remaining who were strong enough to keep him in check. Vaughters also stated, simply put, the race was so aggressive all day long, along with really the race as a whole on the flats, that basically by the time the peloton was taking in the climbs, they were cooked. This was further exacerbated by the wet conditions. After the Tour de France, Pogačar won the bronze medal in the men's road race at the Olympic Games after finishing behind Wout van Aert in the sprint for the silver medal. At the end of July, UAE team Emirates announced that they had agreed a 1-year extension to his contract, committing him to the team up to the end of 2027. Pogačar took a break from racing following the Olympics, returning to competition at the Bretagne Classic Ouest France at the end of August, where he initially managed to follow an attack by Alaphilippe on a gravelled climb 60 from the finish along with Michael Hinault and Benoît Cosnefroy, but was dropped by the other escapees who went on to take the podium places. In September he competed at the European Road Championships in Trentino, in the road race. After a number of breakaways had emerged and been caught by the peloton, he followed an attack by Matteo Trentin to form part of a lead group which expanded to include 10 riders. He did not keep pace with a further attack from this group 23 from the end of the race, with a three-man selection of Remco Evenepoel, Sonny Colbrelli and Cosnefroy dropping their rivals and securing the medals. At the Road World Championships in Flanders later that month, Pogačar finished 37th in the road race. He then moved on to Italy in October to compete in the autumn classics held there. Although he failed to finish the Giro d'Emilia, he made an impression at Tre Valli Varsin, animating the race with a long race attack from 120 km. Although he lost contact with the head of the race due to a puncture, he won the sprint in the chase group to finish third. At Milano Torino, Pogačar managed to keep pace with the other favorites for most of the day, emerging from the peloton's fragmentation in crosswinds 65 from the end as part of a front group which absorbed the day's early breakaway, and remaining in contention for the win until losing contact with Adam Yates and Robbie in the closing kilometers of the final climb up Superda. He subsequently lost the two-up sprint for third place to Joe Almeida. A few days later, Pogačar won his second monument at Lombardia, responding to an attack by Vincenzo Nibali by dropping the Italian and the rest of the lead group 30 from the finish. Although he was subsequently joined at the front of the race by Fausto Masnada, Pogačar won the resulting two-man sprint at the finish line. He became the third rider after Fausto Coppi and Eddy Merckx to win two monuments and the Tour in the same year, and just fourth rider to win the Tour de France and the Tour of Lombardy in the same season, after Coppi, Merckx and Bernard Hinault, and the first to do so in 42 years. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore 2022 Tour runner-up through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. Pogačar started the season off by defending his title at the UAE Tour, winning both mountaintop finishes in the process. Afterward, he went to Italy for a block of racing, starting with the Strade Bianche. Despite getting involved in a crash with around 100 kilometers to go, Pogačar attacked on the longest sector of the race, the Monte Santa Maria, with around 50 kilometers remaining. Pogačar gradually built his advantage to more than a minute, holding off the chasers to win the race solo. 2 days later, Pogačar started his title defense at Tirreno Adriatico. He won the uphill finish on stage 4 before dominating the Queen stage. Pogačar won the general classification by almost 2 minutes over Jonas Vingegaard, as well as winning the points and young rider classifications. A week later, Pogačar rode Milan-San Remo, where he attacked several times on the podio before finishing in 5th. A few days later, Pogačar rode his first cobbled classic, the Dwars door Vlaanderen. He was unable to join the winning breakaway from the peloton, and after multiple attempts to bridge the gap, finished 10th. Afterward, he rode the Tour of Flanders, his debut at a cobbled monument. Pogačar attacked on the second ascent of Oud-Quormont and the Koppenberg to pull ahead of the peloton with a select group of riders. He accelerated twice more on the final ascent of Oud-Quormont and the Paterberg, and only Mathieu van der Poel was able to go with him. The duo rode slowly inside the final kilometer as they prepared for the sprint, but this action allowed Dylan van Baarle and Valentin Modauers to come back in the final few hundred meters. Pogačar ended up getting boxed in during the sprint, causing him to finish 4th as Van der Poel took the win. Following the race, Pogačar shifted his focus to the Ardennes Classics, starting with the Flèche where he finished 12th. Pogačar was scheduled to defend his title at Liège Bastogne, but he skipped it after the death of the mother of his Feinch, Urka Eidart. Pogačar returned to competition at the Tour of Slovenia, his final race before the Tour. He and teammate Rafa Majka dominated the race, winning 2 stages each, with Pogačar winning the general classification ahead of Majka. Pogačar started the Tour with a third place in the first stage's short individual time trial, gaining time on his rivals for the general classification. On stage 5, which featured cobbles as part of the route, Pogačar rode an aggressive race to gain 13 seconds on the rest of the favourites. The following day, Pogačar won the uphill sprint to Longwy to move into the yellow jersey. On stage 7, which featured the race's first summit finish at La Planche de Belles Filles, Pogačar attacked inside the final kilometre. In the final few hundred metres, Jonas Vingegaard put in an acceleration that was only followed by the Slovenian. Pogačar moved past Vingegaard near the line to win his second successive stage, extending his lead to 35 seconds over the Dane. The next stage, Pogačar finished third in another uphill sprint to gain 4 more bonus seconds, extending his lead to 39 seconds over Vingegaard. On stage 11, the race headed to the high mountains with a stage featuring the Telegraph Galibier combo before a summit finish at Col du Granen. On the Col du Telegraph and on the lower slopes of Col du Galibier, Primo Roglič and Vingegaard began to repeatedly attack Pogačar, but the Slovenian was able to respond each time. Pogačar responded by attacking toward the top of Galibier, bringing only Vingegaard with him. After the rest of the reduced peloton caught the duo on the descent, Vingegaard attacked on the Col du Granen with 4 kilometers left. Pogačar was unable to respond as he cracked on the climb, losing 3 minutes and the yellow jersey to Vingegaard, who won the stage. Over the next 5 stages, Pogačar repeatedly attacked Vingegaard, but the Dane was able to respond each time. The race headed to the Pyrenees with Pogačar facing a deficit of almost 2.5 minutes to Vingegaard. The 17th stage featured 4 climbs, including a summit finish at Pyrenees. Mikkelsjug set a fast pace on the second climb before Brandon McNulty set a furious pace on the third climb, dropping everyone but Pogačar and Vingegaard. On the final climb to Pyrenees, McNulty continued to set the pace before the top 2 on GC battled it out in a sprint. Pogačar was able to outsprint Vingegaard to win his third stage in the race, but the Dane still retained a lead of 2:18 at the end of the day. The next stage, the race's final mountain stage to Houtecombe, Pogačar attacked multiple times on the penultimate climb, the Col du Spandals, but Vingegaard was able to respond each time. On the descent of the Spandals, Pogačar crashed, but he was able to quickly get back up. Vingegaard waited for Pogačar, with the two shaking hands once Pogačar had caught up. On the final climb to Houtecombe, Pogačar was dropped by Vingegaard, with the help of Wout van Aert, who was in the breakaway. Pogačar lost more than a minute to Vingegaard, who won the stage to consolidate his yellow jersey. On the penultimate day individual time trial, Pogačar finished third to consolidate his second place on GC before the final stage to Champs Elysees. Pogačar finished the stage safely to officially finish second on GC, as well as taking the young rider classification. After the Tour, Pogačar elected to skip the 2022 Vuelta a España. Pogačar returned to racing at the Clásica de San Sebastián, where he was unable to keep up with the pace before climbing off. After a 1-month break, Pogačar rode at the Bretagne Classic and GP Quebec, but was unable to battle for the win in either race. At the GP Montreal, Pogačar was part of the 5-man-led group that contested for the win. At the finish, Pogačar outsprinted Van Aert to take his 14th win of the season. Afterward, he travelled to Australia to compete at the World Championships. Pogačar finished 6th in the individual time trial before crossing the line in 19th at the road race. To finish the season, Pogačar went to Italy for the Autumn Classics. At the Giro d'Emilia, Pogačar finished second after he was dropped by Enric Mas on the final climb of San Luca. As his final preparation for his title defence at Lombardia, Pogačar rode at the Tre Valli Varsin, where he outsprinted the lead group to win the race, his 15th of the season. Pogačar ended his season at the Lombardia, the final monument of the year. After his team controlled the majority of the race, Pogačar attacked on the climb of Civiglio with around 20 kilometers left. The only ones who were able to follow his move were Mas and Mikel Landa. On the final climb, the San Fermo della Battaglia, Pogačar and Mas dropped Landa before contesting the win in a 2-up sprint. At the line, Pogačar outsprinted Moz to successfully defend his Lombardia title. With 16 wins, Pogačar led the men's peloton with the most wins in the 2022 season. In this part of the video, we'll be diving deep into 2023 Tour runner-up and Tour of Flanders win and unraveling its profound impact. Pogačar started off the 2023 season with a win at the John Paraíso Interior, before winning the overall in the Vuelta a Andalúcia, as well as taking 3 stage victories and the points classification. Pogačar's next race was Paris-Nice, where he again won the overall and 3 stages, defeating his rival Jonas Vingegaard in their first stage race head-to-head since the 2022 Tour de France. Pogačar continued his dominant start to the season with a podium finish at the Saxo Classic before claiming a historic victory at the 2023 Tour of Flanders, dropping defending champion Mathieu van der Poel on the corment and riding solo for the final 19. This made Pogačar only the 3rd male cyclist to win both the Tour de France and Tour of Flanders, after Lausanne Bobet and Eddy Merckx. Next, Pogačar won the Amstel Gold Race and Loftschwallen, completing the Ardennes triple after winning Liège-Bastogne in 2022. At the start of the 2023 Liège-Bastogne, Pogačar crashed with Mikel Honor, which left him with a fractured wrist, bringing an end to his race. His wrist was successfully operated on and Pogačar was able to return to training on the indoor bike a few weeks after, before joining his team at their training camp in Sierra Nevada. This injury occurred only months away from the Tour de France, casting doubts on whether he would be fit to race or be in the form he needed to compete in the general classification, and he had only 2 race days to get in shape before the Tour de France. Pogačar won Stage 6 of the Tour de France 2023 from Tarbes to Couderitz-Kamusk, and Stage 20 from Belfort to Le Markstein. He came 2nd overall in the general classification and has won the white jersey a record 4th time. He also set the record of days in white jersey at 75 days in total. In August, Pogačar attended the UCI World Championships, where he took bronze in the road race behind Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert. To finish his season, Pogačar won the 2023 Lombardia, his 3rd consecutive victory at the race. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore 2024 Triple Crown of Cycling from a different angle. Pogačar announced a challenging 2024 racing schedule, aiming for a Giro d'Italia and Tour de France double, as well as the Olympic time trial and road race, and the World Championships road race. This pursuit brings him into contention for the prestigious Triple Crown of Cycling, a feat involving winning the Giro d'Italia, Tour de France, and UCI Road World Championships in a single year, an achievement considered by many to be the greatest single feat in cycling. Additionally, only 7 riders have accomplished the Giro Tour double, with Marco Pantani being the most recent in 1998. On to March. In his opening race of the year, Pogačar won the Strade Bianche with a long solo attack, breaking away with 81 kilometers to go and winning by over 2.5 minutes ahead of 2nd place Thomas Skujy. On 16 March, he placed 3rd at Milan-San Remo, after setting a record time up the podio but failing to distance himself enough from the field. Pogačar then won the general, points, and mountain classifications at the Volta a Catalunya, held from 18 to 24 March. He secured victory in 4 of the 7 stages, and finished the race nearly 4 minutes ahead of 2nd place finisher Mikel Landa. On 21 April, Pogačar secured his 2nd victory at Liège-Bastogne with a solo attack from 35 kilometers out, winning his 6th career monument at just 25 years of age. He crossed the finish line with a lead of 1 minute and 39 seconds, the largest winning margin since 1980. Pogačar began the Giro d'Italia as the heavy favourite to win the overall general classification. On Stage 2, he launched a solo attack on the steep climb to Santuario di Europa, winning the stage, taking the pink jersey, and securing a 45-second advantage over Geraint Thomas. Pogačar won the individual time trial on stage 7 ahead of two-time ITT world champion and stage favourite Filippo Ganna, after turning a 44-second deficit at the bottom of the final climb into a 17-second advantage on the finish line. The next day, Pogačar won stage 8 by managing the race from the front and winning the final uphill sprint. In the third and final week of the race, he added back-to-back wins. First with a stunning solo attack on stage 15, the queen and hardest stage of the Giro, by closing a gap of almost 3 minutes to the breakaway, including Nairo Quintana, on the final climb before dropping the 2014 winner of the race. Then again after the rest day, he won on the summit finish of the rain-shortened stage 16. He attacked on the second ascent of stage 20 on the Monte Grappa, once again dropping everyone before successfully completing a 36-kilometer solo and taking 2 more minutes on the other GC contenders. Pogačar would lead the 2024 Giro d'Italia into Rome with an enormous margin of nearly 10 minutes, 6 stage wins and the mountains classification. Pogačar entered the 2024 Tour de France with the ambition to win a GC and take the Giro Tour double. He succeeded in doing so, taking the Maillot Jaune after stage 4 and continuing to wear it until the conclusion of the race. He also won 6 stages 4, 14, 15, 19, 20 and 21 ITT, including a win in the final time trial by over a minute. By winning stages he became the first non-sprinter since 1938 to win 3 consecutive stages at the Tour. His 39 leaders' jerseys in a Grand Tour in 2024 is an all-time record, 20 in Giro and 19 in Tour, ahead of Eddy Merckx' 37 in 1970 and Chris Froome's 34 in 2017. The day after the Tour concluded, Pogačar withdrew from the Slovenian team for the Paris Olympics due to extreme fatigue. His decision was also swayed by the Slovenian Olympic Committee, which had not selected his girlfriend Urka Idart to compete at the Games. He also decided not to compete in the Vuelta a España. After a nearly 2-month break from racing, Pogačar returned at the Grand Prix Cyclist de Quebec, where he placed 7th after attacking and being caught by the peloton in the closing kilometers. At the Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal, Pogačar won with a dominant solo victory, attacking on a climb with 23 kilometers to go and winning by a margin of 24 seconds. Pogačar continued on to the UCI World Championships, where he won the road race ahead of Ben O'Connor and defending champion Mathieu van der Poel. Pogačar was a heavy pre-race favourite, but the manner in which he won shocked both commentators and his fellow racers, attacking with over 100 km left in the race, and riding solo for the final 50 kilometers to his first world champion title. This was a pre-season goal he had set himself, to become only the 3rd male cyclist to complete the Triple Crown of cycling after Eddy Merckx and Stephen Roche. In October, Pogačar raced the Italian Autumn Classics, starting with the Giro dell'Emilia. With 37 kilometers to go, Pogačar responded to an attack from Remco Evenepoel, then counter-attacked and rode solo for the remainder of the race, winning by a margin of nearly 2 minutes. Pogačar rode Tre Valli Varsin, but the race was cancelled due to bad weather after 3 laps. In Lombardia, the final monument of the cycling calendar, Pogačar attacked from 48 kilometers out, riding solo to win by over 3 minutes ahead of runner-up Remco Evenepoel. This was the largest winning margin at the race since Eddy Merckx in 1971. It also marked Pogačar's 4th Lombardia title, a feat not seen since Fausto Coppi over 75 years earlier. Pogačar finished the 2024 season with 25 wins, 24 of them being on World Tour level. Compatriot Primo Roglic followed in the World Tour level victories ranking with 8 wins, and Tim Merlier followed in the professional victories ranking with 16 wins. For the 4th consecutive year, Pogačar finished first in the individual UCI World Rankings with a record 11,655 points. His 2024 season is widely regarded as the greatest ever. Prepare yourself for an eye-opening discussion on comparisons with Eddy Merckx in the upcoming portion of this video. Comparisons with Eddy Merckx have been made throughout Pogačar's career. Cyril Guimard, a former rival of Merckx and a director sportif of multiple former Tour champions, claimed in 2020 that Pogačar was above the level of both Merckx and Hinault. During the 2021 Tour de France, after Pogačar's victory on Stage 8 where he took the yellow jersey and gained over 3 minutes on the other general classification contenders, former Tour winner Tadej Pogačar compared the young Slovenian to Merckx. By the end of the Tour, which Pogačar won by over 5 minutes, Merckx himself said he regarded the Slovenian as the new cannibal, referencing his own nickname, and suggested if nothing happens to him, can certainly win the Tour de France more than 5 times. Following Pogačar's victory at the 2021 Lombardia, Merckx noted that while many cyclists have been called the new Merckx, Pogačar was the first to truly fulfill that promise based on his accomplishments. Ernesto Comigo expressed similar thoughts, saying that in his view Pogačar will be the only one following Eddy Merckx in cycling history. During Pogačar's historic 2024 season, the comparisons intensified. After his win in the 2024 Giro d'Italia, 5-time Tour winner Bernard Hinault stated he's like me and Merckx, citing Pogačar's dominance and racing style. After the Tour, the Spanish newspaper El Pos proclaimed, Tadej Pogačar is the cannibal too. Following the World Championships, where Pogačar went solo for the final 50 to win, Merckx himself proclaimed to Swipe it's obvious that he is now above me. However, Merckx subsequently clarified that he was referring specifically to the World Championships performance, and doesn't believe Pogačar is superior to him yet. As we enter this new phase, let's uncover the impact of personal life on our broader topic. Tadej was born in Komoda but grew up in nearby Klanik, 20 km north of the Slovenian capital of Ljubljana. His mother Margita is a teacher of French and his father Mirko formerly worked in management at a chair factory before joining Tadej's former team as part of their management team in 2021. Tadej is the third of 4 siblings. In addition to his native Slovenian, Pogačar speaks fluent English. Pogačar lives in Monaco with his partner, fellow Slovenian professional cyclist Urka Igart. They became engaged in September 2021. His role model is Alberto Contador. He was also an admirer of Frank and Andy Schleck while growing up. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting road and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. 2015 8th overall Course de l'Opix Juniors. 2016 first time trial, National Junior Championships first overall Giro della Lunigiana. First points classification first stage 3 first stage up Course de l'Opix Juniors third road race, UCI European Junior Championships third GD Dorigo third Montechirincan 6th overall Tour du Pays de Vaud 7th GP Sportivo Villa Lopicola Sanremo 7th Trofeo Emilio Paganesi. 2017 second Raiffeisen Grand Prix third time trial, National Under-23 Championships 3rd overall Tour de Hungary 4th overall Istrian Spring Trophy 5th overall Tour of Slovenia. First Young Rider Classification 5th overall Carpathian Couriers Race. First Young Rider Classification 7th Piccolo Giro di Lombardia 8th GP Laguna 9th GP Capodico 9th Croatia Slovenia 10th Giro del Belvedere. 2018 National Under-23 Championships. First road race first time trial first overall Tour del Zavena first overall Grand Prix Priesenitz Spa. First Mountains Classification first Young Rider Classification first Stage 3 first overall Giro del Friuli Venezia Giulia. First Young Rider Classification first Trofeo Gianfranco Bianchin second Grand Premio Palio del Riccioto second time trial, National Championships 3rd overall Istrian Spring Trophy 4th overall Tour of Slovenia. First Young Rider Classification 4th Port Trophy 4th Raiffeisen Grand Prix 5th GP Laguna 7th Road Race, UCI World Under-23 Championships 8th Giro del Belvedere. 2019 8 Pro wins first time trial, National Championships first overall Tour of California. First Young Rider Classification first Stage 6 first overall Volta Algarve. First Young Rider Classification first Stage 2 third overall Vuelta a España. First Young Rider Classification first Stages 9, 13 and 24th overall Tour of Slovenia. First Young Rider Classification 6th overall Tour of the Basque Country. First Young Rider Classification 6th GP Miguel Indurain 7th Grand Premio di Lugano 2029 National Championships First Time Trial 2nd Road Race 1st Overall Tour de France First Mountains Classification First Young Rider Classification First Stages 9, 15 and 20 ITT First Overall Volta a Comunitat Valenciana First Young Rider Classification First Stages 2 and 4 Second Overall UAE Tour First Young Rider Classification First Stage 5 3rd Liège Bastogne Liège 4th Overall Criterium du Dauphiné 9th Liège Wallon 2021 13 First Overall Tour de France First Mountains Classification First Young Rider Classification First Stages 5 ITT 17 and 18 First Overall Tirreno Adriatico First Mountains Classification First Young Rider Classification First Stage 4 First Overall UAE Tour First Young Rider Classification First Stage 3 First Overall Tour of Slovenia First Mountains Classification First Stage 2 First Liège Bastogne Liège First Giro di Lombardia 3rd Road Race Olympic Games National Championships 3rd Time Trial 5th Road Race 3rd Overall Tour of the Basque Country First Stage 3 3rd Tre Valli Varsin 4th Milano Torino 5th Road Race UCI European Championships 7th Strade Bianche 10th Time Trial UCI World Championships 2022 16 First Overall Tirreno Adriatico First Points Classification First Young Rider Classification First Stages 4 and 6 First Overall UAE Tour First Young Rider Classification First Stages 4 and 7 First Overall Tour of Slovenia First Points Classification First Stages 3 and 5 First Giro di Lombardia First Strade Bianche First Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal First Tre Valli Varsin Second Overall Tour de France First Young Rider Classification First Stages 6, 7 and 17 held after Stages 2nd Giro d'Emilia 4th Tour of Flanders 5th Milan-San Remo 6th Time Trial UCI World Championships 10th Tours de Vlaanderen 2023-17 National Championships First Road Race First Time Trial First Overall Paris-Nice First Points Classification First Young Rider Classification First Stages 4, 7 and 8 First Overall Vuelta a Andalúzia First Points Classification First Stages 1, 2 and 4 First Tour of Flanders First Giro di Lombardia First Amstel Gold Race First Liège Wallon First Circuit John Parso Interior Second Overall Tour de France First Young Rider Classification First Stages 6 and 22nd Giro d'Emilia 3rd Road Race UCI World Championships 3rd Saxo Classic 3rd Coppa Sabatini 4th Milan-San Remo 4th Giro della Toscana 5th Tre Valli Varsin 2024-25 First Road Race UCI World Championships First Overall Tour de France First Stages 4, 14, 15, 19, 20 and 21 ITT held after Stages Combativity Award Stage 11 First Overall Giro d'Italia First Mountains Classification First Stages 2, 7 ITT 8, 15, 16 and 21st Overall Volta a Catalunya First Points Classification First Mountains Classification First Stages 2, 3, 6 and 7 First Liège Bastogne Liège First Giro di Lombardia First Strade Bianche First Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal First Giro d'Emilia 3rd Milan-San Remo 7th Grand Prix Cyclist de Quebec. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of general classification results timeline and exploring its real-world applications. Grand Tour General Classification Results. Brace yourself for an in-depth analysis as we navigate through Classics results timeline and its far-reaching implications. Monument 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024 Milan-San Remo 12.543 Tour of Flanders 4-1 Paris-Roubaix NH Liège Bastogne Liège 18-3-1 DNF 1 Giro di Lombardia 1-1-1-1 Classic 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024 Strade Bianche 30-13-7-1-1 Milano Torino 4 Saxo Bank Classic NH 3 Dwars door Vlaanderen 10 Amstel Gold Race DNF 1 Balfach Wallen 53 9 12 1 Sika de San Sebastian DNF NH DNF Bretagne Classic DNF 89 Grand Prix Cyclist de Quebec not held 24/7 Grand Prix Cyclist de Montreal 1 Giro dels Media DNF 2 Tre Valley Varsin NH 315 NR. As we enter this new chapter, let's navigate the complexities of major championships results timeline and unravel its multifaceted nature. Did not compete DNF did not finish NH not held NR no result IP in progress. Legend. Let's now shift gears and explore cyclocross through a critical lens, uncovering its strengths and weaknesses. First National Championships. Slovenian Cup. First Ljubljana. Slovenian Cup. Second Ljubljana. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of awards to reveal its true essence. Volodor, 2021 International Flandrian of the Year, 2021-2022. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your support and I'll see you in the next video.